I'm your brother Filda Sulayman. I became a Muslim about 21 years ago when I was 19. I'm 40 now. I became a Muslim when I was 19. And then I started my religious studies up to today. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make that what we are trying to say today beneficial, because converts are a part of the people that are a great majority of the Muslims today. And I want to start with you with my story when I converted and my mother when she converted, in very brief. So I can give you actually the feeling that a convert has at sometimes when he becomes a Muslim. Like in the beginning, when you want to become a Muslim, you find yourself in front of a huge change. You are saying, I'm going to change my soul. You're thinking about directing yourself from creation to creator. For example, I was an atheist. I didn't believe in Jannah, I didn't believe in Nar, hellfire, paradise. I didn't believe in God, I didn't believe in angels. And if somebody would tell me there are angels flying around, I would declare him mad, right? I would say you have psychological problems. They don't exist. So at a certain point in life, you want to make a choice. And you say, okay, I'm going to go against everything that I have been denying for over 20 years or 30 years or 40, 50. And so that means it's something important. It's an important day in your life. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes that day as being أَفَمَنْ كَانَ مَيِّتًا فَأَحْيَيْنَاهُ وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُ نُورًا يَمْشِي بِهِ فِي النَّاسِ كَمَنْ مَثَلُهُ فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ لَيْسَ بِخَارِجٍ مِنْهَا, is the one that was dead, spiritually dead, equal to the one that we have given life and a light to live amongst people, and that light is the Quran and Iman. So you really say, okay, I'm going to change my life in a positive way. In the beginning, when I became a Muslim, you should know that I didn't believe that there would be any Muslim lying, cheating, killing in the name of his religion, gossiping, having a bad behavior. I thought that Muslims were living in the same way that I read about them in books. Like, you're not supposed to lie, you're not supposed to gossip, you're not supposed to cheat, you're not supposed to steal, you're not supposed... So I said, wow, these Muslims are perfect. I said, I want to be a Muslim because I got to know them through these books. So I was expecting to come into the mosque and find these exemplary people, right? And my first day in the mosque, I got shocked. I was like living with books for about 3 months. And then I said, okay, I have to be ready. I need a good behavior before going to the mosque. It was a Friday ceremony. And I read that when you are attending the Friday ceremony, you should look at the Imam. You should really pay attention. You should not look at your watch. You should certainly not put your finger in your nose, not play with your toes, and stay calm. And I came in the mosque, and the first thing I saw was everybody was pushing each other to have the best place. But what was the best place in the mosque? Not the one that was closest to the Imam, but closest to the door. So that the moment they give salam, they can get out very quickly. So the best place in the eyes of the Muslim was not there in front of the Imam. It was there near to the door. So when the salam is given, I can escape. Then I read that Muslims were very punctual because their prayers made them punctual, and that they were well organized. So the first thing I saw was that I didn't find my shoes anymore. I was looking for my shoes and I didn't find them. Everybody was treading on everybody's shoes, and everybody got out and everybody was pushing, and people were sleeping while the Imam was speaking about paradise and hellfire. I said, this is a crazy community. But I knew that Islam was perfect. But not everybody that converts to Islam knows that Islam is perfect. He will look at the Muslims as being that what is the manifestation of Islam. They say, when I look at Muslims, that is Islam. There's nothing more wrong than that. Muslims are people. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Some of them are criminals, some of them are good people. Some of them be killers and others are not. We should know that we are dealing with people. As for Islam, Islam is perfect. And alhamdulillah that I knew that from the beginning. So it didn't discourage me, but I said, what is going on? And then you have that moment when you come for the first time in the mosque and that people are accepting you as their brother. You come to the mosque, you're so nervous, you're so happy because all these people are waiting for you to stand up and let you say the shahada. So you're even afraid to pronounce it in the wrong way. So you're repeating it in front of the mirror. Ashhadu, because then, of course, I didn't know Arabic. I said, like, what was it again? Ashhadu and la ilaha illallah. I was imagining all the people being happy. So I went to the mosque, said, all right, stand up. There's a brother that wants to become a Muslim. So I stood up. And I said the Shahada, and everybody was happy. Allahu Akbar, yes. Clapping their hands, Allah, Allah. And then they went home and I was alone. That was the climax of becoming a Muslim at that particular moment. Everybody saying, now you're our brother. You're from amongst us. When I got sick, nobody visited me. When I was in need of money, I didn't find people giving money. I didn't want their money anyway, but I'm just trying to explain something, right? And then all of a sudden I found Muslims lying, cheating, and so forth. And I found good Muslims as well. But that was the beginning. But now, after that, where does the convert find information? The first thing that I found as a Muslim, that I felt like a prey and all the hyenas jumping on me, trying to tear me apart, that one was saying, you have to be a tablighi. I don't say they're good or bad. That's not what I'm trying to say. You have to be a tablighi. Other one comes, no, you have to be a Sufi. Broli, what was the other one? Salafi, Ikhwani, Deobandi, I don't know. And at the end, I was like, okay, I thought I chose for Islam. But what is going on here? And then I heard these people amongst them saying, yep, they are not good, they're bad. They are innovators. No, they are not good. I said, wow, what is going on? So now the convert all of a sudden finds that Islam is divided amongst Muslims. And that makes Muslims weak. Because when I came to Britain, I was really astonished of the sectarianism and the cults that are here, and that people hate and love each other because they give themselves the same name. If you belong to the same group as I do, you're my brother. I will visit you. I will help you. I will speak good about you. But if you're not, then you're out of my heart. That's the problem. When we come back to Allah Jalla wa Ala, He will ask us about our Islam, not about the names that we are giving ourselves. Same thing with my mother. My mother became a Muslimah in Dubai, right? She was a businesswoman. She was like really successful. And at a certain moment, she became a Muslim. But of course, she wasn't wearing the veil. She was on her high heels, with, how do you call it? Earrings, so these long ones. She was painting her hair in red. That was my mama. Yeah, and I'm proud of her. So, and then, everything that goes with it, real stylish. That was in the late 80s. So she was ahead of her time. Her own tailor, everything is. But she became a Muslim. How did she become a Muslim? She read the Quran, like in English, because she wanted to understand the Muslims. When she went for business to Dubai, she thought that she would find Muslims acting upon the Quran. So she said, I have to understand these people. So she read all the Quran, from Fatiha to Nas. And that same night, when she finished reading the Quran, she heard the call to prayer, that business lady, and all of a sudden she felt like there was life being blown into her heart. So she stood up, she washed her face, washed her hands and her feet. She didn't know why. She took a towel, put it on her head, and she went into sujood, in prosternation. And then the tears started like coming out of her eyes, and she felt for the first time that she was alive. She said, this has to do with something with the book that I just read. But she didn't know what it was. So she started asking Muslims, what should I do? This is what I felt this night. They didn't say what you should try to do is gradually try to know your Creator. Gradually trying to find the values of your religion, of a good behavior and character, and a good bond with Allah Jalla wa Ala. The first thing they told her, the same morning, these high heels, haram. Your hair, cover. You're not allowed to work anymore because you will mix with men, and you have now to get married, and people have to take care of you. For the same amount of money, she would have turned away from Islam. Sometimes people, they think that these kind of behaviors will encourage people, but it doesn't. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't, anyway. So that was the first thing that my mother saw. And then there was Ahmed Didat. Anybody of you knows Ahmed Didat? Okay, nice. So he was in Dubai at that moment. So somebody told her, go to Ahmed Didat. So she went to him, and it was Ramadan then. And she came into the room and Ahmed Didat was sitting there with a bunch of people. And then he like wanted to give her a glass of water. She said, no, I'm fasting. And he said like, he looked at her. He said, do Christians fast today? And she said, no, I think I'm a Muslim. And then Ahmed Didat started smiling, you know. And he said, oh, so beautiful. Congratulations. Just take it easy. Everything will be put at the right spot at the right time. So he gave her advice and she grew by herself. But now often when you want to become a Muslim, people make it appear as you are treading into a nightmare. You're married and you say, I want to become a Muslim. All right, first thing you have to do, divorce your husband. You have to get rid of your children because they have to stay with the mother. This, that. That's the first thing they say. So do you really think that that is attractive? No? So I'm not talking about the fiqh issue here. I'm talking about the first step that or the first image that we give people when they embrace Islam. So now, that was my mother's part of it, and that was my part of it. So now, people, how do you call it? Clap their hands, do their takbir, Allahu Akbar, our brother, and then you're alone, as I said. In my time, being alone meant reading books. In this time, being alone means social media. Because if we don't take care of people that become Muslims, moderate Muslims, and with moderate, I don't mean people that don't have a beard. I don't mean people that don't wear hijab. That's not what I mean. What I mean is Muslims that have these beautiful values that Muhammad ﷺ carried. You know? And if we don't help these converts, then they will start looking for another way to get to know to Islam. And most probably, they will get to know a lot of bad people. That is what is happening. So the first thing what we should do, if we don't want the converts to get lost, is that we shouldn't like welcome them to Islam and then let them on their own. They should have, subhanAllah, they changed all their lives. One of the brothers came to me and he said, only after 10 years, I let my wife speak to my father. Because they said your father is a non-Muslim, so your wife is not allowed to sit with your father. 10 years long. They had the child and everything. No, she was not allowed. She had to cover her head and she was not allowed to sit with her what? With her father-in-law. And that broke up the family. And 10 years later, he had the fiqh, a right understanding of religion, and then he went to his father and said, Father, forgive me. He said, I was wrong. This wasn't the way that Islam wanted me to be. It was my interpretation of Islam. But it was not Islam on itself that asked me to do so. But how many families broke up because of that? I read a fatwa from Yemen one day. And there was somebody that said, yeah, I just became a Muslim and my parents watch movies. A convert, right? Living in Europe. He said, I became a convert. I became a Muslim. And my parents watch TV, movies. Oh, yeah, movies. And he said, when your parents go out, you have to go to the television, open the TV, cut the wires, close it, and do as you don't know anything. That was a fatwa from Yemen, from Hadramaut. All right? So it's not something that I'm inventing. I mean, and then they said, and when they leave their houses, then if they have crosses on the wall, you take away these crosses. And they believe in ghosts. So if they say, like, where did the crosses go? You say, maybe this house is possessed. Maybe the devil just took it away and now we need some exorcism or whatever. So, I mean, how far do you want to go? The first thing they tell girls, now there's a fatwa from people in Holland, a woman that became a Muslimah, and they say, yeah, you're not allowed to live with your parents anymore, so you have to get married and get out of your house. She's 18 years old. What does that do with a human being? The Islam is supposed to be the ruh that makes you of added value in the life that you are living. But what we are learning, teaching converts, is when you embrace Islam, you have to change everything in your life. Change your job because there are women. Stop your studies because you're intermingling with women. Don't get on the bus sometimes because there's music on the bus. Don't get into certain shops because there's music in the shop. I mean, whoa, take it easy. We're not living on Mars. We're living on Earth. So now, what we should tell these converts is when they become a Muslim, that they continue their lives with their parents, with their friends, with their soccer team, the only thing that will change is their beautiful behavior. Like I had a psychosocial center where I would speak with youngsters, young Muslims that had like an identity problem, and that said, I don't want to live in Balad al-Kufr, in the house of the disbelievers, and this, you know the story of these people. And so he said, yes, my parents are enemies of Islam. I said, okay. He said, they're real enemies. I said, why do you say that? He said, I will tell you. And he really thought that I was going like to faint because his parents were so bad. And he said, my mother doesn't want me to pray in the morning. I say, is that so? Yes, she says like with Fajr, like when I have to get up at 4, that she cannot sleep because I go to the bathroom, I open the, how do you call it? The tap, and she hears the water run and so forth. And I said, isn't it a part of Islam that you are good for your mother? He said, yes. I said, then when you know that you wake up your mother at night, 4 o'clock at night, in her house, you changed, but you're not allowed to change her life. You changed, you're not allowed to change the rules of her house. If you want something else, you have to build something else for yourself. But you're not a tyrant nor a king in that dominion where you rule. I said, so what are you going to do? The first thing you should do is to say, sorry, mother, that I woke you up. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to take a bucket into my room so that I don't have to open a tap, and I will perform ablution in my room. Then she will not have a problem with you performing wudu. But if you wake up people at 4 o'clock in the morning, of course they will mind. Because they don't have the same way of living. And they said, oh yeah, that's true. I said, and the first thing you should do when you become a Muslim is become a better person towards your parents. So that they know that Islam is not taking away their child from them. That is a feeling that a lot of parents have. From the moment that somebody converts to Islam, all of a sudden it seems that they lost their daughter, they lost their son, and they start panicking. But if you would come home and you would start kissing their feet, which you never did, kissing their hands, kissing their forehead, pressing some nice fresh orange juice on Saturday morning with some nice croissants, you know croissants? And hot chocolate, and you bring that to their bed, and you say, there you go. They will say, what happened to you? I said, nothing. Just, this is what my religion taught me to do with you. Because mother, you carried me. You gave me life. Father, you were working for me all of my life. I will never be able to pay you. Do you really think that then they will be afraid of your choice? But now they don't understand your choice. Why don't they understand it? Because they think that Islam is that what we see on television. Crazy Muslims chopping off heads and torturing and killing each other. They think that is what my child will become. You have to comfort them. You have to love them. And I will give you an example from the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِن جَاهَدَاكَ عَلَىٰ أَن تُشْرِكَ بِي مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا وَصَاحِبُهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. And if they do their utter best for you to associate others with me, yani meaning to leave your religion, then don't obey them. Now you might think, and now comes the verse where it says, and you have to hit them, you have to insult them. No, he says, don't obey them in that issue. But for the rest, صَاحِبْهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. Stay their best enemy, their best friend in this dunya, in the best of ways. So Allah says, صَاحِبْهُمَا. Sahib is a friend that never leaves you. He says, become their sahib. Yani you have a father and mother saying, I don't like your religion, I hate your religion, I don't want you to be Muslim. You keep on saying, and I love you, and I respect you, and I need you. I hate your Muhammad. That is only because you don't know him. The moment you will know him, you will love him like I do. That is an other approach. That is what people need today. But why are we astonished that people are afraid of Islam if they didn't get to know Islam? And they will not get to know Islam through books. They will get to know Islam through you. You are the message of Islam. Don't be angry that people don't understand Islam if you yourself don't practice it. If you're not patient, if you're not generous. I don't see many Muslims, apart from organizations, I'm talking about individuals, getting together to buy food for elder women and men that don't have anybody to take care of them. Muhammad was doing that, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I don't see individuals just going to the hospital and say, Are there people that don't have family that visit them so that I can visit them? You visit them, the non-Muslims and the Muslims. Say, what are you doing? I don't know you. Say, I don't mind that you don't know me. I just want you to be happy. There you go, present for you. They says, why did you do this? This is what Muhammad taught me. And you go. People are in need of actions. They are not in need of words. We have enough of words. We got fed up with words. Everybody's speaking, everybody's talking. We want to see this positive change. So is that clear? So the first thing when somebody becomes a Muslim is that they should be surrounded by people that show them how one should live Islam in a normal way. Secondly, don't make them Martians. They're not from Mars, they're from Earth. They have fathers, mothers, children. They have a wife or a husband. They have neighbors. And the only thing that should change is that they become better in the environment where they are in. And what we are teaching them is get out of your environment and start a whole new life. That was not the way of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And by the way, what we often forget is that the Sahaba were converts. We forget that, right? But they converted to Islam. The first Khalifa was a convert. The second one as well. The third one as well. The fourth one as well. The fifth one, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, as well. I mean, they were all. Bukhari was not an Arab. Muslim, from Sahih Muslim, was not an Arab. Sibawayh, the one that wrote the most important book in Arabic grammar, was from Persia. He was not an Arab. Fakhruddin al-Razi was not an Arab. Nasai was not an Arab. Ibn Majah was not an Arab. So if you see, they spread Islam, but they were not Arabs. Not meaning that Arabs are bad. I love Arabs. Okay, so are there Arabs here? Okay, Allah barik. Okay, so should I say it in singular? I love an Arab. Okay, Allah yahfadkum inshallah. Allah yabarik fik. Allah yataqabbal minna wa minkum inshallah. So now, what we also see is that converts often become radical because we give them books, but a book doesn't always give you right understanding of what you read. You might read something, but you might understand something completely different. Like sometimes we give a whole Quran to a convert, and he might read verses about struggle, about war, engaging in war, and everything that has to do with it. But if he is not helped in understanding these verses and putting them in the right context of when it happened, then he might think that these verses are supposed to be transported to today and to be applied today. These verses about jihad and everything that has to do with it. So you have to help them to understand these verses, because otherwise they will do it themselves. And the problem is, and that's the last thing I want to say about this, when it's about verses of jihad and everything that has to do with it, you see that the only ones explaining it, and they explain it wrongly, are people like the people from ISIS, for example. You say ISIS here? See that? Yeah. So they are the ones now taking the responsibility of explaining the verses of jihad. And where are the moderate Muslims saying, wait, don't understand it in that way? Don't put that into practice. Don't do this. Don't kill innocent people. Where are they? So if we leave people with these extremist thoughts, the only ones that explain these verses, and we as the majority of Muslims don't do that, the convert will think, okay, that's the only way, right way that it can be explained. So we need imams on the minbar. We need imams, theologians, we need imams, we need books that explain these verses so that they will not be used or abused or misused and put the life of people into danger. But we are not doing that. We're just complaining that these people are misusing the verses in the Quran, but we don't give an alternative. Okay? So that is also something that is very important. So these are a bit the things that I wanted to say about converts and the way that they feel and the way that they go around and the reasons why they radicalize. So the first thing is keep them in their environment. It's one. Tell them to continue live their lives, but as better people. Tell them not just to base themselves on books, but that they find people that explain books. Then to have imams and khutaba, Friday preachers, that touch these delicate subjects right? Subject to say, these delicate subjects, so that people understand these verses in the right way, and then embrace them when they become Muslims, and give them the time to develop and to change at their own pace, because everything that is forced will eventually break. Okay, so that are for me a bunch of solutions that, inshallah, can be beneficial for people that embrace Islam. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
Keep the faith.